We are going to call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Let's begin with a roll call, please.
Here. Middleish Cotwall.
Here.
Wes Poland. Here. Julie Simpson. Here.
Thank you. We'll start by reviewing the agenda. So at first, we have a few communication items, amongst which we are going to go through some student recognition and honoring some of our outgoing the student board reps and welcoming the new ones. After the discussion item, the communication items, we are going to go into some agenda items for discussion, followed by a consent vote agenda, and then items for action. And then we are going to go through some informational items and then future agenda items, following which we'll move into executive session and then return to open session. With that, we will start with our meeting, but before we get into it, I did want to make a couple of statements here. It's intimidating speaking in front of so many people, yet so many of you do it day in and day out. We appreciate it. We are very, very thankful for everyone who comes in here and speaks up. We know their heart is in the right place. They are all fighting for our students, and we really, really appreciate it. Your comments in here, your feedback to us informs our perspectives and informs our decisions in what we need to take. We end up having to balance that with what we need to do from a compliance perspective, what we need to do from a governance perspective, how we need to run the board. But it informs perspective. So please know that it's appreciated. We have the task of, after that, making sometimes some difficult decisions. Do we get it right all the time? I don't think so. I don't know that we've gotten everything right. But the motive is always looking at student outcomes and making sure that as a district, we are doing well and we are following the law and we are doing what is best for our students. So I hope you allow us some grace as we go through that. We all live in the same community. As my friend Socrates had once pointed out, we are all neighbors. We all see each other here and there. Erica there just lives 3 doors across from me. We see each other. Let's work together as we move the district in the right direction. We are continuing to do so. I mean, even amongst the board, I don't know that we agree all the time, but we all are trying to do the best thing for the students. So please know that, and please keep that in mind, I hope. With that, we are going to move into student recognition.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This evening, both Dr. Andy Young and myself, it's our pleasure to welcome both schools' respective wind ensembles who just recently participated in the 2026 Superstate Concert Band Festival. And this competition is the highlight of competitions for the band in the state. And in the district, both Libertyville High School and Vernon Hills High School were named the honor bands in their respective classes. So I believe that was 1A and 2A. So this is a tremendous accomplishment, something that does not happen very much. And the fact that both bands did it is truly exceptional. when we'll be calling up both Andy and myself, our directors from Libertyville High School will be Adam Gore to recognize our students that are able to be here. And this summer, when I was talking to Mr. Gore about the wind ensemble and the band, he said every year is a great group of musicians, but this year in particular, watch this group. It could be a special group, and he was right on target. It was truly a very special group, and we'll let Dr. Young speak about Vernon Hills.
I just briefly want to add, Miss Gosler, Kelly Gosler, our new band director, not new now, a year in, came in following Randy Sendell, if you remember, who had been here for 25 years and had built a state and national reputable band program. And I just want to congratulate Miss Gosler because I know she felt this need to keep that momentum going. And it's not that we expected a state title, but that's pretty cool. So this, I believe I have this right, Dr. Russell. I think this was our 7th state title in 26 years, and they don't let you win it back to back. So that's a pretty impressive track record for Vernon Hills, and our kids and the community and District 73 continue to just send us incredible musicians, and we're super, super proud of that. So I'm gonna let Ms. Gosler come and Adam, and we'll love on our kids and introduce them. So come on up, Ms. Gosler and Mr. Gore.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to be part of this community as a new person here. And I know I've said it a few times, but this is kind of my dream job. And I never really thought I was going to actually get it. And so it's really amazing to be here. I know when you say, wow, 7 times we've done this, it starts to maybe feel run of the mill, but it's really a big deal. It's really, really a big deal. And it's in great part because this district has rallied around the arts in such a way to allow this to continue. So please know this is very, very special. And I thank you so much for everything you've done to support this. And I really look forward to teaching the rest of my career here and leading this program. So with that said, I'd love to acknowledge my students who make up the wind ensemble. So Pratham Bansal, Josh Benson, Anastasia Boots, Sophia Brown, Wade Bunton, Jonah Burton, Jerry Katane, Julius Katane, Edgar Chan, Mikey Chang, Evan Chen, come on up, Namu Cho, Nico Samino, Danny DuBois, Grace Doe, Campbell Fenton, Joel, Fevet, Francesca Gauss-Enning, Nigel Glivka, Ethan Henley, Iris Kang, Anara Katzman, Eugene Kim, James Kim, Kikion Kim, Noah Kim, Drew Lancioni, Simon Manson, Jacob Olson, Ethan Park, Evan Park, Noah Rauschholtz, Ben Slavish, Steven Spanos, Tyler Stark, Zoran Syed, Ryan Towell, Rowan Traps, Kathleen Shu, Jay Yang, Joshua Zhang, and Sophia Zich. Thank you so much. They really did some incredible work.
Students are taking a photo. Students are taking a photo.
Thank you. Sorry.
Students are taking a photo.
Oh, everybody got on the podium.
Students are taking a photo.
That means you, Nico. I swear.
Students are taking a photo. Students are taking a photo.
Well, I certainly could not have said it any more eloquently than Ms. Gosler did, so I'll just move on to introducing the Libertyville Wind Ensemble. One thing that we have been going to this festival a couple of years longer as the school's been open longer. So here is the 11th state champion Libertyville Wind Ensemble. Come on up, folks. I'll read the names and we'll get you certificates when we get up here. Kate Anderson, Benedictino, Matthew Brown, Owen Brown, Hayes Carter, Kai Chemnunket, Richie Dombrowski, Simon Ellingson, Solomon Ellingson, Mateo Garcia, Max Gardner, Anna Garippo, Annabelle Gore, good last name on that one, Riley Gruber, Caroline Guiar, Jonas Hamidi, Lizzie Hamilton, Atreyi Hati, Nina Hernandez, Davis Hillback, Liam Huizinga, Caden Hudson, Akshay Jalati, John Joyce, Zara Karim, Olivia Keister, Joey Kim, Kyle Kriegbaum, Julia Lindell, Charles Lindsay, Arna Mishra, Riggs Mitron, Chethan Nickerson, Aisha Nudurapati, Imose Osemwen, Shagun Punya, Andrew Schindler, Matthew Schindler, James Billy Sims, Isaac Stone, Jackson Taylor, Thomas Teixeira, Nicholas Tomey, Lucy Tooney, Luke Wegliardo, Vivian Wong, Edward Braden Weaver, Finley Weinstein, Paige Wheeler, and Trace Wilden and Sophia Yautzi. Congratulations.
Students are taking a photo.
Multiple rows. Let's go.
Students are taking a photo.
Yeah. You're going to be front row. Keep it.
Students are taking a photo.
Good. I am moving in. Perfect. Yep, squeeze in.
Students are taking a photo. 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 Students are taking a photo.
All right, our last one this evening is our Business Professionals of America, BPA, which has taken over at Vernon Hills as we've transitioned out of FBLA, if you were formerly familiar with that. And as you might have heard, the season was capped off with a number of our students making it to nationals down in Nashville. And that included one of our teams being national champs in their area of expertise. So I'm going to let Ms. Raymond and Mr. Pien brag about these kids who had an incredible season and represented Vernon Hills High School so well, both locally, but especially nationally. So I'll hand it over to you.
All right, so yeah, we competed in the national competition. So I represented across the country. Also, we had China, Korea there too. And all these guys were national qualifiers, so they traveled with us to Nashville. Last year, we brought 10 students. This, we brought 33. So I think the club's really expanding. It's really exciting. Some of these guys are doing presentations. Some of these guys are doing tests. There's even a parliamentary procedures, event. It's just like, what does that even mean? But these guys really worked really hard. Some of them that were returning from last year, some of them just missed the cut last year and they worked really hard to come back to nationals. And some of these guys are freshmen, sophomores, on the younger side, but still, really made their mark. So I'm just gonna read off the names. So some of our finalists, Grace Doe, Kara Carito, Tuhina Kochar, Arnav Garg, Arnav Gupta, Anirudhan Jagannath, Kaylee Moon, Aman Garg, Hasini Swaminathan, Sarah Kathurval, Arav Sheth, Braden Sontag, Devin Rataichik, Alyssa Kopanitsa, Emma Jasbutis, Alex Kim, Kayla Bly, Ryan Jin, Sashank Mukuneni, Catherine Lin, Ekim Bao. And some of our finalists, so hit the top 10, were Meet Ratad, Will Blackmer, Ayush Dubal, Mira Davaluri, Andrew Kim, Julianne Oliva, and Daniel Spivak. And placing number 3rd in small business management were Parth Vadia and Connor Fessenmeyer. And our first place team in financial analyst was Brendan Handoko, James Kim, and Henrik Lundberg. So we're really proud for all of these guys. Thanks.
Students are taking a photo. Students are taking a photo. Students are taking a photo.
Tiny ones underneath.
Students are taking a photo.
This podium is going to awkwardly be. Okay.
Students are taking a photo. Students are taking a photo.
All right, well done, everybody.
Thank you.
Students are taking a photo. Students are taking a photo. Students are taking a photo.
Thank you. It's always amazing to see the student achievements. I always love seeing everyone come up here. Sometimes it's familiar faces. Sometimes it's just kids from the school who've achieved amazing things. So it's always amazing to see this. Next step, we are going to honor our outgoing student school board reps and welcome our new school board reps. I've got a speech prepared for all of you. No, I'm just kidding. I just thank you for serving on this. I know it's a time commitment from you. I've seen you grow through the year, presenting to us and the topics that you bring to us. Very important because it helps us understand what's on students' minds. It helps inform perspective. It helps give us some feedback on what is important to the students and what needs to be addressed and what could we be doing to improve student outcomes. I've seen all of you contribute, and just interacting with you makes me super happy that our future is in safe hands. Go on out. I'm just so glad that you are the ones who are representing this school district outside. Go on and do awesome things. So thank you for your service here. So let's give a big hand for our outgoing school board reps, Eva, Ruhi, Andrew, Olivia, Ashwa, and Anika. Thank you again.
Students are taking a photo.
Something for all of you.
Students are taking a photo. 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 Students are taking a photo.
And with that, we will introduce the new student school board reps for 2026-2027, Taylor, Gilbert, Misha, Mia, Mary, and Reese. I've interacted with some of you during interviews. I think you have some big shoes to fill here, but I think you are very, very capable of that task. So I'm excited to have you on the board, and I hope to see your contributions over the next year. Welcome.
Students are taking a photo. 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 Students are taking a photo.
I will fall.
Students are taking a photo. Students are taking a photo.
As you can see, I'm always very nervous, so I'm glad there's no more pictures for me. With that, we'll move into invitation for public comment. I'm going to go through the list that signed up, and then we'll go through whoever else needs to speak. First up on the list is Jeanette Higgin.
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Hyam. My daughter graduates from Libertyville High School on Thursday and will attend Georgetown University to study law. Like every parent in the district, I should be spending this week celebrating my child's accomplishment, her future, and the years of hard work that brought her to this moment. Instead, I'm standing here once again addressing failures involving student safety, accountability, and leadership within this district. I do acknowledge Dr. Schaefer and the board for finally taking action regarding Bryant Kelly after what many families, including myself, believe was a prolonged failure to adequately protect the students. But let me be absolutely clear. Culpability does not stop with one individual. This is not an isolated incident. There have been multiple situations at Libertyville High School where students raised concerns about teachers, coaches, or staff members, yet action was delayed, minimized, or never meaningfully addressed. In at least one case, a former Libertyville High School teacher who had similar complaints raised while employed here was later arrested at another school. That should alarm every person in this room because it reflects a recurring pattern of concerns being ignored or handled behind closed doors until the situation escalates. When concerns are ignored, the risk does not disappear. It is simply passed on to the next group of students. Accountability must extend to every former principal, athletic staff, and district leader who failed to act, failed to investigate appropriately, minimized complaints from parents and students, discouraged transparency, or chose to protect reputations and institutional image. The board must answer difficult questions tonight. What additional actions will you take now that more information continues to surface? Which leaders will be held accountable for failures in oversight reporting and student protection? What independent safeguards are being implemented to ensure students and families are actually protected moving forward? And how will you guarantee that students, parents, coaches, and staff can report concerns without fear of retaliation, intimidation, or silence? Parents should not have to fight this hard to be heard. Students should not have to risk their emotional well-being, reputations, friendships, or futures simply to report concerns involving adults entrusted with their safety. And let me be equally clear about this. More students will be coming forward. More families will speak publicly, and more legal action will follow if this district continues to respond only when forced to do so. Leadership is not measured by carefully worded statements after public exposure. Leadership is measured by the willingness to act early, act transparently, ask the tough questions, and make life-changing decisions before harm escalates. Our children deserve leaders with the courage to prioritize student safety over politics, public image, careers, or institutional protection. Anything less is a failure of responsibility. Thank you.
Next up, Brian Peterson.
Good evening. Tonight, I want each member of this board to ask themselves one question before I begin. What would you do if this was your child? What I want to speak about tonight is not a single isolated incident, but rather a pattern of inappropriate conduct, a lack of intervention, and a concerning lack of urgency in communication and investigation regarding situations involving my son. I'm here tonight as not only a parent, but also as a school administrator who understands the expectations, investigative responsibility, and accountability processes that our school are required to uphold. As administrators, our responsibility is to advocate on behalf of students, ensure their safety, investigate concerns thoroughly and promptly, and uphold accountability when expectations are not met. Based on my experience with Libertyville High School, I believe that the administration has failed in upholding these responsibilities. Over the past 2 years, my son has experienced repeated inappropriate comments and interactions involving both staff and students. These incidents have included sexual comments made by staff members towards or about my son, demeaning remarks from adults, situations where students engaged in inappropriate behavior without meaningful intervention from supervising staff, and even an incident during a school assembly in which an outside vendor sat on my son's lap while staff members observed and failed to intervene. That incident alone should have immediately raised concerns regarding professional boundaries, student safety, and adult supervision. In several instances, adults who should have stepped in either failed to do so or appeared indifferent when the conduct was taking place. What concerns me most is not only that these incidents occurred, but the apparent normalization of this behavior. When inappropriate comments or actions are allowed to continue unchecked, students begin to believe that this environment is acceptable. When adults fail to intervene, students lose trust that they will be protected and respected within the school setting. Equally troubling has been the lack of urgency in communication and investigation. Recently, my son was forced to advocate for himself for an adult in charge, failed to stop inappropriate behaviors being displayed by his peers. That advocacy ultimately led to a detailed conversation with the complaint manager assigned by the district, who is both an attorney and a former school administration. During this conversation, timelines over the last 2 years were reviewed, incidents were outlined, and the names of individuals involved were documented. I strongly encourage members of this board to carefully review that report, ask questions, and gather the necessary information to fully understand the seriousness and scope of these concerns. When families raise concerns involving student well-being and staff conduct, there should be a timely communication, transparency regarding process, and confidence that the matter is taken seriously. Families should not feel that they are left searching for answers or wondering whether comments are being addressed appropriately. I'm speaking tonight because this is a call to action. The current culture at Libertyville High School is putting children in harm's way. When inappropriate conduct is minimized, when interventions are inconsistent, and when accountability is lacking, students are the ones who suffer the consequences. I would ask each member of this board to honestly reflect on a few questions. What would your expectations be if these situations involved one of your family members? What would you accept sexual comments being made by school staff towards your child? Would you accept an adult sitting on your child's lap during a school assembly while staff members watched and failed to intervene? Would you accept repeated failures to intervene? Would you be satisfied with delayed communication and limited urgency? What would you do if this was your child? Every student deserves to learn in an environment where they feel safe, respected, and supported by the adults around them. Professional boundaries matter. Adult accountability matters. Timely intervention matters, and strong school culture matters. I urge this board to take meaningful action to ensure that these concerns are not dismissed, but instead become a catalyst for reflection, accountability, and change. Thank you.
Next up, we have Laura Weber.
Good evening. My name is Laura Weber. I have my oldest son graduated from Libertyville High School last year, and I have boy-girl twins that are 7th graders at Rockland. I think most of us here are aware of the lawsuit facing the district. We've seen the news coverage, and we know that Brian Kelly has been put on leave. A lot of us are asking how something this serious could happen in our school district. But I think the bigger question is how many warning signs were ignored before we got here? Because for some of us, these concerns did not start with this lawsuit. 2 years ago, Jeanette Hyam, Susan Van Boning, and I came forward with concerns related to Title IX inequity. But very quickly, we realized we were dealing with deeper problems in this district, problems with leadership, accountability, and a culture that seemed more focused on protecting itself than acknowledging issues and fixing them. When we brought concerns forward, we expected district leadership to listen, investigate, ask difficult questions, and genuinely try to understand where improvements were needed. Instead, we were told there were no real issues and no reasons to make change. We were provided inaccurate and misleading information. The administrators we worked with did not speak to any students or families. And honestly, it felt like they were just waiting for us to go away. Dr. Schaefer, when you first started, we warned you specifically about Brian Kelly. We told you he wasn't following the law related to Title IX. He wasn't following procedures. We said there was a serious conflict of interest on his part for handling the Title IX process and audit altogether. We warned you that when administrators responsible for handling serious concerns are not doing their jobs properly, eventually something more serious could happen. But instead of seriously considering those concerns, you defended him adamantly. And this is exactly why so many people no longer believe these failures were isolated. People in this community are talking. People are hearing about the other complaints over the years involving inappropriate behavior, concerns that were not properly investigated, and situations that appear to have just quietly gone away with no transparency or accountability. And now we're asking broader questions about district leadership, including whether other administrators like Dr. Colentis, John Woods, Megan Silverberg, and others involved in these matters are being honestly evaluated. Because at this point, the issue is bigger than one lawsuit or one administrator. The issue is trust. And Dr. Schaefer, many parents are now questioning whether this administration is truly focused on putting students first, or whether the priority has become protecting the district, protecting its reputation, doing only the minimum required once public pressure becomes unavoidable. For the taxes we pay and the expectation this community has for its schools, families deserve better. This district does not need more damage control or more protection of the status quo. It needs leadership willing to identify where the district has fallen short, hold administrators accountable, rebuild trust, and move this district forward. And board members, your job is to ensure that the superintendent is doing exactly that. And if he is unwilling or unable to lead this district forward, then this board needs to seriously evaluate whether we have the right leadership in place. Thank you.
Next up, we have Jennifer Tai.
Hi. Members of the board, administration, teachers, staff, parents, and community members, good evening. My name is Jennifer Tai, and after 35 years of teaching high school mathematics, I will be retiring at the end of this week. I began teaching in District 128 in 1997 at Libertyville High School, teaching for 3 years in both the Brainerd and Butler buildings. I then moved to Vernon Hills High School when it first opened. I have now spent 26 years there. Over the years, I have watched this district grow into something truly remarkable. And while I know there are concerns and challenges being discussed right now, I hope that we do not lose sight of the bigger picture. There is just so much good happening in our schools every single day. Thousands of students walk into our 2 high schools each morning and receive incredible opportunities, outstanding instruction, meaningful support, and experiences that help shape who they become. I have had the privilege of witnessing that firsthand for nearly 3 decades. In fact, I was so impressed by the teachers, staff, and culture of Vernon Hills High School that I decided to move to Vernon Hills in the year 2000. I did not have children at the time, but I knew that if I did, there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted my own children to attend these schools and be surrounded by these educators. I raised my 3 daughters here, and I couldn't be prouder of who they are now. They are intelligent, kind, hardworking young women. I know, again, without a doubt, I did not raise them alone. District 128 played a significant role in shaping who they are now. The teachers in this district are exceptional. Their intelligence, dedication, compassion, and work ethic are extraordinary. They care deeply about students, and they give far more of themselves than most people ever see. What I have consistently seen over the years is this: amazing teachers, supported by strong administrators who trust and empower them to do their jobs well, working alongside a supportive community and a board that values and appreciates all of it. In my opinion, it is that partnership that helped to make these 2 schools so exceptional. As I prepare to retire, I feel nothing but gratitude. Gratitude for the students that I taught, for the colleagues who inspire me every single day, and for the opportunity to spend my career in a place filled with so much excellence and heart. To the teachers, staff, administrators, thank you. Thank you so much. You not only helped educate students, you helped families like mine raise good human beings, and for that, I will forever be grateful. My hope is simply this: that the district continues to move forward in a positive direction, remembering the tremendous good that does exist here and continuing to support the people who make it happen every single day. Thank you.
Next up, we have Marnie Navarro.
Good evening. I'm Marnie Navarro, District 128 graduate, lawyer, and incoming parent. I speak for myself. Since speaking last month, I have spent weeks fielding phone calls from additional victims, parents, and staff members, past and present, coming forward, relaying eerily similar accounts of students being groomed and victimized by District 128 teachers and coaches, parents ignored, and a culture of cover-up and fear of retaliation. The Parker Rohde situation is not an isolated incident. There are numerous other groomer teachers and coaches who were widely known, but were covered up by a toxic environment of silencing students and parents and protecting the abusers rather than the victims. Systemic corruption and failure, much originating from the athletic department. Same story every time. Wildly inappropriate conduct, grooming, stalking, harassment, retaliation. Students and parents complained repeatedly and to multiple admin and staff. No mandatory reporting to DCFS or law enforcement. Sham internal investigations, allegations swept under the rug, perpetrators sometimes quietly removed as coaches, shuffled around internally, or quietly retired with full pensions. Many victims previously reported to District 128. It is unknown what, if anything, was ever documented. Some of these victims and prior reporters have now contacted you, Superintendent Schaefer and board, sharing their accounts. Our community looks to you now to right the wrongs of the decade plus past. District 128 has operated like its own little Epstein Island. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Only radical transparency and accountability can accomplish the needed cultural shift from the top down. Former board president Jim Batson's resignation last week is a positive step, as was former president Lisa Hessel's. Batson sat on this board for 15 years and presided over the destruction of our once great district, including numerous medical leaves for known problem teachers, and oversaw their re-entry to student-facing positions. It is right that he resign in shame. Arrogant complicity and cowardice. Putting Associate Superintendent Brian Kelly on paid administrative leave is also a step in the right direction, but by no means is it accountability. As the head of HR, he was certainly central to the boys' club culture of corruption, but by no means did he act alone. By Superintendent Schaefer's own internal investigation into the Doe complaint, 4 more administrators were found to have violated their mandatory reporting duties. Ray Albin, Megan Silverberg, Jennifer Loika, and Josh Simo all remain in their positions to this day. 3 of them were even been given raises by you all in March. A letter in their internal files and mandatory reporting training, which is required anyway annually, is not accountability. Plus, there are numerous more staff and administrators implicated in the district's historical failure to mandatory report. We've given you those names. There is no accountability without for-cause terminations. You have that ability under Board Policy 590. Multiple involved individuals should also face criminal investigations. Our children are not safe at 128. The union protects its own, including unsafe, mentally ill, and addict teachers. The admin protects its fat paychecks and pensions. No one protects our kids except us. We parents and community members demand that this board act decisively to eradicate the culture of corruption and cover-up, enact the most severe consequences for all perpetrators and all those who protected them. All other goals are aspirational if we are failing at our first and foremost responsibility, the physical and emotional safety of our children. Thank you.
Anyone else wishes to speak?
Hello, my name is Susanna Peterson. I am here as a 28-year educator. I am here as a mom. I have, Dad just spoke. I'm gonna tell you what I've experienced. I sat and submitted my experience. My son was interviewed at the police department. He came home with incredible things to say that he'd endured. I filed a police report. It took 8 to 10, I'm not sure, between 8 and 10 weeks for a meeting to take place, at which point it only took place because there was going to be a Paris trip for him to go on when he was a freshman. I thought that was a unique, horrible circumstance. He then, most recently with the athletic department, experienced extreme bullying. It was all on camera. These are all within our public spaces. Brady Sullivan acted as a hero in that he heard me out. He heard my son out. He responded quickly and managed the situation in the short term. The long term is yet to be seen because we're currently dealing with this. The lacrosse season just ended on Friday. I watched at the police department 27 seconds of a paid third-party vendor who dressed as a prostitute, who sang in French the lyrics, which I translated and sent to district office, detailing an exchange between someone who was paying for a sexual act. This person sang on my son's lap. The staff member watched and cringed. There were 29 witnesses on a stage. Nothing ever happened. My son has gotten used to everyone watching in classrooms and on stages and during athletic film viewing. There have been 4 documented events. I'm a former assistant superintendent of human resources. I know what should happen, and none of it has happened. The interactions between my son and the students has stopped because our community members are responsive. I reached out to the moms and the dads, and we've had meetings at Starbucks and working towards reconciliation so that it stops. I have 8 seconds left to implore you to do what is right and just for all students. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Dan Vasnos, and I'm back here tonight. The last time I stood in front of this podium, some progress has been made, but make no mistake, the work, my work, the community's work is far from over. Brian Kelly's been placed on administrative leave, and that is a step in the right direction. But administrative leave is not accountability. It's simply a pause. This community deserves more than a pause. A board president has also departed. He called it retirement. You can't retire from an elected position. You simply resign. That's a fact. Words matter, transparency matters, and this community has seen too little of both. CBS was here, aired the truth of this district's failures. More families are now coming forward publicly because they finally feel safe enough to do so. That is what happens when light is shown on darkness. I personally reached out to the Lake County State's Attorney's Office. I'm waiting on their response because what happened here, the failure to report a documented grooming of a child with Down syndrome to DCFS, is not a personnel matter. It is a potential crime under Illinois law. And this situation has not gone unnoticed in Springfield. State legislators are aware of this. They are furious and they are prepared to act. In fact, several have already expressed interest in drafting legislation that would require annual background checks for educators, not the one-time check that currently exists. Because Parker Rohde's record was dark and deep, and yet the administration here, both past and present, were fully aware of who he was and still chose him to be placed with the most vulnerable students. That is not a failure of process, it is a failure of conscience. Let me be clear about something this board needs to hear. Administrators do not work in silos. Brian Kelly did not make these decisions alone. Others in the leadership chain were aware and others did fail to act. Others bear the responsibility for allowing Rohde to quietly retire with full benefits while a family was left without justice and a child was left without protection. My hope and the hope of families who have trusted this process is that those responsible are not simply placed on leave. They must be terminated for cause. A letter of reprimand in a personnel file and a mandatory reporting workshop does not pass the sniff test when it comes to accountability. You guys in this district have the opportunity to send a message across the state that there is zero tolerance when it comes to legal obligations to report to DCFS. What this board decides to do in the coming weeks will define whether this district leads or whether it simply waits for the next failure. And under Illinois law, pensions can and should be forfeited by public employees convicted of crimes related to their official duties. That process needs to begin. The only way to create meaningful change, the only way to protect the next child is to hold those responsible fully accountable. To the board members sitting here tonight, you each have now the opportunity to lead. You can choose transparency, you can choose accountability, you can choose to put students first. Do the right thing. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Janessa Stock. I have 3 kids who've graduated from LHS, and I have 2 more who will be attending, hopefully, if I feel that I can trust them to you. I have a long history of LHS grads in my family, my husband, his siblings, his father, my ex-husband, his siblings, his father. So there's a long tradition of excellence that they've experienced going through this district. I initially came here tonight just to listen and to support my friend, but I've been moved by all the other speakers. My youngest has Down syndrome, and I'm terrified that he will be put in a situation like what Mr. Rohde did to my friend's daughter. How can I trust that that won't happen to him? As a mandated reporter myself, I work for another school district. I am disgusted that the administrators did not report this man to DCFS. It's abhorrent. As a member of the Illinois Federation of Teachers, I'm angered that he is continuing to collect a pension while I work damn hard to get my pension, and so do all the other teachers in this room. As a mother to a child who has Down syndrome, one of our greatest fears is knowing that they are safe. And I implore this board and the superintendent to do what's right. Thank you for that first step of administrative leave, but we need accountability for the others as well. I talked to a friend today whose sister reported abnormal, concerning behaviors with Mr. Brody back in 1998. He was shuffled from job to job and put with those kids who don't have a voice because no one had the guts to do what's right and terminate him. Please, think of our children and their safety. We deserve to know that they are coming to school in a safe place. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else?
Hi, I'm Megan Wright. I have 2 graduates of Vernon Hills High School and 2 current students. And this is a little different topic, but I was just coming to talk to you about the 504 situation. I'm sure, like, I found that my daughter fell through a crack, and I'm sure that she's not the only one, and that it's not only happening at Vernon Hills. So she has a medical 504. It was an orchesis this year. The 504 plans are not given to the fine arts extracurriculars, which ended up being a problem. My daughter, passed out, and the teacher had no idea that she had a 504. So we also found, my son is type 1, and we found that this summer before freshman year, that the summer camp coaches are also not receiving that information yet from the incoming students. So just in terms of specifically the medical 504s, that's just a couple little holes that I think, the kids would benefit from us, kind of reanalyzing, who is receiving the 504s. I know that their classroom teachers are, but like Ms. Jaffe, at Vernon Hills, she said, if I don't have her during the school day as one of my students, I don't know. And that really shouldn't be happening. So theater, orchesis should be included in the 504 distributions, for that. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else? We'll move to the next agenda item. We have an update from D128 Foundation for Learning.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on behalf of the D128 Foundation for Learning. My name is Erica Rendell, and I am the chair of the foundation. For those that aren't familiar with us, we are a volunteer, parent-led 501c3 organization with a mission to support success for all D128 students by funding innovative learning experiences and unmet student needs. We've got several updates to share with you tonight. On the fundraising front, we have set the date for the big event, our biggest fundraiser for the year, for Friday, November 6th at Austin's. This year's theme will have everyone dressing from the decade they attended high school, and we'll have the LHS Parent Alumni Band Sideways back to perform music from across those decades. If you're interested in being a sponsor or would like to buy a spot in our ad book, you can scan the QR code or visit our website at d128foundation.org to learn more. Our foundation has an endowment that was started in 2007 and is now valued at over $580,000. Our largest donors, John and Ann Landgraf, issued us a challenge in January to raise $25,000 for the endowment fund this year, and they would match that $25,000, not just for this year, but for the next 10 years. All of this with the ultimate goal in getting the endowment fund to be valued at $1 million or more in order to ensure that our programs can continue in perpetuity. We are happy to report that we have already raised $40,000 this year and met our goal. Our largest donation came from Irene Whittington, next slide, in memory of her husband, the first principal of Vernon Hills High School, Jim Whittington. Outside of the endowment fund, thanks to the help of this community, we raised over $65,000. We are so grateful to everyone who supported our students and our programs. The funds that we raise go to 3 key programs. This spring, we dispersed $16,000 to Students in Need funds at Vernon Hills High School and Libertyville High School. These funds are used by our social workers and counselors to help students who are in difficult financial circumstances meet their basic needs in order to focus on learning. Over the past few months, the Students in Need Fund has paid for everything from field trips, dental surgery, alarm clocks, and dual credit enrollment fees, just to name a few. And the need has never been greater, with 15% of our district students qualifying for fee waivers and 21% at Vernon Hills High School. In April, we awarded 5 Libertyville High School scholarships to seniors who live the Daring Mission, and just today, we awarded 5 to Vernon Hills High School seniors. Each recipient receives $750. Congratulations to all of our recipients. And while we could only award 10 scholarships, we received well over 100 applications. And I just have to say, we have really, really impressive students in our district. We also recently awarded 10 Daring Innovation Grants valued over $15,000. These grants go to teachers, and they include this year some really creative ideas, including hydroponic planting systems for the Vernon Hills High School STEM Lab, a deaf and hard of hearing assistive technology lending closet that will be a shared resource across LHS, VHS, and transition pathways, and a project that will digitize the history of Libertyville High School's yearbooks and drops of ink publications to make them accessible to the community online and at the touch of a screen. And just today, we shared with Principal Albin and Principal Young that each school will be receiving a $10,000 grant, and Transition Pathways will receive a $3,000 grant. These funds should be going towards projects that further the foundation's mission. Again, we are so grateful to all the corporate sponsors and individuals that enable us to give back to students in this way. Just a few more updates from me. We are taking nominations for next year's Alumni Achievement Awards. The deadline is coming up quickly. It's May 23rd. We'll select one recipient from Libertyville High School and one from Vernon Hills High School and announce those next November. You can visit our website to submit a nomination. And finally, all of this work is made possible by a dedicated group of volunteers who serve on the Foundation's Board of Trustees. This year, we've had several new board members join us. We'd like to welcome Angela Balanag, Tara Jones, Krishna Kiladar, and Carrie Burke. And we've had 2 trustees retire, Anad Sethi, who served for 10 years, and Marianne Iserman, who served for 9 years and ran our grant and sponsorship programs for the last several years. So with that, we have room for 2 people on our board. In particular, we're recruiting for someone who'd like to help us with our marketing efforts. If you're interested, you can reach out to us on our website. And thank you all for your time and support, and we hope to see you next November at our big event. Thanks.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the teacher union report.
Good evening, Dr. Schaefer and members of the District 128 Board of Education. My name is Sarah Gorley, and I am here tonight representing the District 128 Federation of Teachers. 2 years ago, we stood before you during a period of significant challenge. Today, I am proud to share a very different perspective from the front lines of our schools, one of renewal, operational trust, and the tangible success that comes when professional autonomy is respected and communication is transparent. I have just come from the Snacks and Study Night at Cook Memorial Library, where I saw a few of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Since 2011, our union has co-sponsored this event with the local libraries, where teachers volunteer their own time to help students prepare for their final exams. While I don't have the overall numbers for tonight yet, in December of 2025, over 23 teachers supported more than 350 students between the Aspen Drive and Cook libraries. That energy and enthusiasm were both on full display again tonight, proving that our faculty's commitment to student success extends far beyond the 325 school bell. We also want to highlight our new intervention program. This was not a top-down mandate. It was a collaborative effort born from 2 years of rigorous and intentional planning and refining between staff and administration together. By placing dedicated teachers from English, math, and science into one-to-one and small group support roles all day at both Libertyville and Vernon Hills High School, we have seen a measurable shift in student success. We have observed a downward trend in D and F grades at marking periods throughout the year. This is a direct result of providing support the moment a student begins to struggle. The success isn't seen just by improved grades. It is shown by growth in confidence and student mindset that blossom when the safety net is strong. This program is a prime example of what we can achieve through functional trust and collaboration. Our current administrative team has worked tirelessly to build a culture of mutual respect. We have a good thing going here. The leadership is strong, the faculty is committed, and the results are showing up in our classrooms. 2 years ago, we asked for your support during a difficult time, and you answered. Today, we have a different request. We ask that you protect this stability. We need you to continue to support the partnership between our administration and our teachers. Trust is a delicate thing. It has been rebuilt through hard work and collaboration. By supporting the professionals in our buildings and the administrators who lead them, you ensure that D128 remains a place where students don't just get by, but they thrive. As we wrap up this year, we offer our sincere thanks. To our student board representatives, thank you for being the voice of your peers. You have provided an invaluable perspective through your service, and we are grateful for you. We wish you the very best in your next steps beyond District 128. To our building and district administrators, thank you for trusting our expertise. We have overcome the rough spots of the past because you have given us the respect and autonomy necessary to make D128 a premier environment for learning. To the parents, thank you for entrusting us with your students and giving us the opportunity to help them learn and grow. Your support is important to us, and we appreciate partnering with you to help the students become the best versions of themselves. And to the school board, thank you for the hours you spend becoming familiar with the heartbeat of our schools. By supporting our work in the classrooms, on the stages, and on the playing fields, you help us to fulfill our daring mission every single day. Let's keep this momentum going. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have a union report from the ESP union.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come up here and address you. My name is Jennifer Shepard. I am the president of the D128 ESP union. I came here tonight to thank you. Dr. Schaefer, you have been a listening ear through the year. You have heard the ESP, you've held listening sessions with us, and you and I have had multiple conversations about how deeply our ESP staff care for our students. You've also given us the respect at our labor management meetings of hearing what the board representatives have to say about what we feel would benefit students and staff. I just ask that this partnership continue and that we continue to build forward. Our staff goes above and beyond every single day. I know multiple ESP staff that work long hours. They don't claim the overtime. They want to provide the very best that they can to support the administration, their supervisors, our students. They are here 1 hour, 2 hours late. They bring work home with them. And I'd like to break that culture moving forward. I don't want them to feel burdened that they are not good enough if they can't do it in their 7-hour day or 7.5-hour day. I would like to continue to partner with you to try and solve that problem. I foresee our ESP staff growing more and more weary of this work if we don't find a solution. So I appreciate when you hear what we say, and I appreciate when you recognize that we have the best interest of our students. Our support staff, especially our TAs, put their heart and soul into working with these kids, whether they're indirect or direct paraprofessionals, whether they're support staff in an office, whether they're behind the scenes completely in our buildings and grounds department. And we have a number of openings coming up over the summer for people that have been here for years that have spent their careers as ESP staff in D128. I urge you to be thoughtful in hiring replacements for these staff members, and I urge you to make sure that these are people that will uphold the values of our community, our families, our students, and each other. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, student school board rep reports.
Good evening. I wanted to begin by thanking the board, Dr. Schaefer, Dr. Young, and the rest of the Vernon Hills community for an amazing year. It has been truly an honor to serve as a student board representative. For my final report, I wanted to focus on staff support that shapes the student experience at Vernon Hills High School. One student shared that during college application season, they panicked after realizing they had forgotten to submit an important item for their applications. They said Mrs. Bolito and Mrs. Carson in the CRC immediately helped them figure out next steps and made the process feel much less overwhelming. Another student reflected on Mr. Green and Mr. Little, who led orchestra and choir throughout their 4 years. They shared that these programs felt like a second home, helping them find some of their closest friends and created meaningful memories through performances, field trips, and all-state opportunities. Their experience also shows how critical funding for the arts at Vernon Hills High School is. A student also spoke about Mr. Lucan, saying that his support and encouragement helped them believe they were capable of more than what they imagined. They are now planning to attend UIUC for computer science, and they credit teachers like Mr. Lucan for helping them grow academically and professionally. Other students mentioned Ms. Joshi and Mrs. Hall, and shared that having diverse representation in staff made them feel seen and should be a priority. Students also expressed interest in continued growth in mental health support, including more accessible wellness resources and more open conversations with staff about stress and balance in schoolwork. Overall, our district has given us an unparalleled support system that will help propel our lives beyond the halls of Vernon Hills High School, and I'm looking forward to see what the next school board reps will do next year. Additionally, next fall, I'm excited to say I'll be attending Columbia University to study political science and law. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to serve as a student board representative.
Good evening. My name is Annika, and I look forward to sharing my last update of the year with you all tonight. VHHS has had a successful school year in terms of a more focused effort by the student body to uplift different cultures through various community outreach events. On April 12th, various school affinity groups such as Black Student Union, Latin American Student Organization, Asian Student Association, and many more, as well as several community organizations came together for the Unity Fair. This fair took place during lunch periods and allowed students to go from table to table and participate in activities. This event raised awareness for and displayed the beauty of various communities. Another amazing cultural event was held by BPAC and future leaders in activism and government in the form of a fundraiser for a local organization that supports families in need on May 7th during AP season. This cultural celebration night consisted of performances from students, including yours truly, local groups such as Bali Bhangra, and community members. A raffle with various items donated by the members of FLAG was held, and food from different cultures were provided. Several more affinity clubs also provided fun and informational booths. Another fantastic cultural event was held the next day, the AAPI family dinner, and it was held for students and families alike. This event included great food, karaoke, and dancing. This fun family dinner displayed Asian culture in an interactive and enjoyable way. In conclusion, thanks to the dedication and effort in executing these great opportunities of VHHS student groups, as well as supportive staff and teacher advisors, these students are able to successfully bring their cultures to the community, and the community can bring their cultures to these students. Thank you so much. This was Annika, but before I sign off for the year, I'm excited to share that I will be attending Northwestern University next fall for neuroscience on the pre-med track. And I also want to thank the board, my fellow representatives, current and future, the student body and staff, the VHHS community, Dr. Schaefer and Dr. Young for an amazing year. And I'm so grateful for this experience. It has been an honor. Thank you so much.
I apologize in advance because it's kind of lengthy.
Okay, good evening, members of the board. As I thought about what I wanted to say for my final report, I kept coming back to a conversation that often comes up in our district about academic pressure and college preparation. Vernon Hills clearly values post-secondary success, and the results speak for themselves. This year alone, Vernon Hills High School seniors are attending an incredible range of universities and pursuing ambitious futures. Over 47 seniors will be attending UIUC next year alongside 5 Ivy League commitments, over 20 students attending highly selective Ivy adjacents, and many others heading to top public universities like the University of Wisconsin-Madison, the University of Florida, and the University of Michigan. If these numbers do not already make it obvious, let me say it clearly for the record. Vernon Hills is succeeding in preparing students for life after high school. However, there is a perception that in order for students to reach these outcomes, schools must push students harder and harder, that success only comes from exempting PE, taking 9 classes, skipping grade levels, or relying on expensive outside tutors and private college counselors. As a student, I want to offer an alternative perspective. Vernon Hills already provides students with the rigor, support, and opportunities needed for success. Speaking personally, I took co-taught math classes, stayed in grade level coursework, and still applied to 17 universities with acceptance rates ranging from 7% to 80% without receiving a single rejection. And I am proud to say that I will be attending American University, Go Bald Eagles, in Washington, D.C., to study political science and minoring in German. That success did not come from academic extremes. It came from teachers, staff, administrators, and CRC members who challenge and support students every single day. But as this becomes my final report, I also want to say something beyond academics. Vernon Hills High School has shaped who I am as a person. I've spent countless hours inside those walls through athletics, clubs, student council events, and everyday life because this school has become more than just a building to me. It has become my community. Every day, I walk in knowing Dr. Young would fist bump me in the hallway, Mark at the security desk would ask about my lunch release adventures, and Mrs. Levin at the front desk would stop me for a conversation when I needed my day to slow down. It may be cliche to say this, that it's the people that make the place, but at Vernon Hills, that truly is our gospel. This school did not just prepare me for college, it prepared me to lead, connect with others, and become someone I am proud to be. So while I may soon leave these halls as a student, a part of me will always belong there. Thank you for giving me the privilege of serving as your student representative, and thank you for listening and considering our reports every month in order to make our schools and district an even better place.
Good evening, everyone. Since this is my last board meeting, I've been thinking about how to sum up my 4 years at LHS. At first, I planned on talking about the classes I took or the activities I joined, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that what shaped me most was the people. LHS has changed me in a lot of ways, but more than anything, I'm leaving with a deep appreciation for the teachers, advisors, administrators, and staff members who invested in me and so many other students. These relationships are what make high school matter, and they've been an integral part of my past 4 years. First, I want to thank Miss Greenswag. Miss Greenswag, or G-Money, as she's affectionately called by some of her students, was my A-Push teacher junior year and my debate coach for the past 3 years. More than that, though, she is a light in the school. Because of her, many students genuinely look forward to coming to school every day. Next, I want to highlight Miss Risley, a paraprofessional who works in the LHS library. After spending probably 300 periods in the library in my high school career, I've had the privilege of interacting with Miss Risley many times. She's incredibly kind and knowledgeable, and whether I needed help with a project in class or just someone to talk to, she was always there and ready to help. Finally, I want to recognize Dr. Nelson, LHS's Wellness and Prevention Coordinator. Through Senior Wellness Board this year, I've had the opportunity to work closely with her. She has strengthened my passion for mental health advocacy, and her dedication to that work has helped transform LHS's culture for the better. Generally, as I leave LHS, I'm especially grateful to these people and everyone who I have not mentioned who has shaped the last 4 years. It's clear to me that our teachers, paraprofessionals, and staff are the foundation of this district. I encourage the board and district leaders to continue recognizing their value, listening to them, and working alongside them. It's because of them that I'm attending Georgetown University in the fall, where I study international relations. And it's been a true honor serving in this role this year. I'm incredibly grateful to this district for its commitment to amplifying student voice. Thank you very much.
Good evening. In my last report, I want to talk about something I've participated in for 3 out of my 4 years at LHS and something that has allowed me to thrive as a student, Link Crew, our freshman orientation program. Link Crew shaped my high school career in many ways. My freshman year of high school, I will admit Link Crew was a little rough around the edges and had a lot of fluff that many students agreed was unnecessary, but it gave me a place to meet upperclassmen that not only helped me to get used to some of the student customs, but also allowed me to have friendly faces in the hallway. Not only that, but multiple times throughout the first week of high school, I actually called my Link Crew leaders because I got lost and I didn't know where I was in the school. These experiences, on top of many others in Link Crew, shaped me and encouraged me to be a Link Crew leader in my junior and senior years. Being a Link Crew leader was so much different than what I thought it would be. It was extremely student-led, which forced me to develop my leadership and communication skills. I had to learn how to be polite but firm, telling my freshmen what we were doing for the day and how we were doing these activities. I learned more about how these things I thought were silly actually could be very useful to students when done right. And this is where I think the Link Crew advisors, who ask not only the Link Crew leaders, but also the freshmen for feedback. They ask what feels effective, what feels unnecessary, and what might be worthwhile if it's redone. And they truly take that advice and implement it. I've never seen changes in a program work so fast, but literally between my junior and senior years of being a leader, many changes improved the whole program in such a short amount of time. So I really want to thank them for having open ears and really listening to all the advice we give them. I've also learned so much about myself and how to lead a team that sometimes doesn't want to be led. I also learned that leadership is a skill that you can always develop further. The skills that I have learned will be used when I go off to college. Speaking of college, I will be attending the University of Wisconsin-Madison to study genetics and genomics, and my experiences at LHS have prepared me greatly for my future. I'm so grateful that I've had these opportunities that have shaped me into the person that I am today, and I want to thank everybody who helped me achieve my goals and aspirations for the future. Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight I want Tonight I want to emphasize how my collection of experiences has shaped my personal development, not just my college preparation. I've been involved in a variety of things at LHS, and I hope to express the importance of being a well-rounded student while also striving for excellence. As many of you know, I've been heavily involved in DECA for 3 years, but something you probably don't know is that I was also in debate. I joined debate my freshman year because I was eager to get involved and try something new. However, I realized debate was not the right fit for me, as it was for Andy. Although I was putting in effort and participating, it never truly clicked. While some may see that experience as insignificant or even a failure, it taught me the importance of taking risks and putting myself out there, especially in relation to growing as an individual. I've also participated in 3 different sports: badminton for 4 years, cross country for 3, and preseason track during my sophomore year. Being involved in athletics has given me a completely new perspective and introduced me to experiences I never would have had if I stayed only focused on academics. It pushed me outside my comfort zone and showed me that growth often comes from trying things you never expected yourself to do. And this is really different from my middle school perspective because I used to walk the mile around the track. By engaging in a variety of activities, I have become much more connected to my LHS community and have gained confidence in my leadership skills. Unfortunately, this confidence is something many students lack because they feel pressure to stay within their niche or follow the path already set for them. By stepping outside of comfort zones and embracing new opportunities, students can discover the strengths, passions, and perspectives they never knew they had or wanted. My experiences at LHS have taught me that success is measured by personal growth and the willingness to challenge yourself. By prioritizing the development of students into well-rounded and engaged individuals, this district can prepare us for whatever the next step is, knowing D128 graduates will have the confidence to adapt and succeed with whatever life throws at them. Additionally, I would like to add that I'm studying business at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign in the fall. I'm so thankful for the experience serving as a student board representative for D128 and all the incredible individuals who have supported me in this process. And I feel excited and prepared to move into this next chapter. Thank you, and go Illini.
Thanks a lot. I know everyone was saying that this is your last report, but I just hope this is the start of something better. Just go on being awesome in the outside world. Thank you. Next up, we have the FOIA requests. I think it's there in the meeting on the different requests that we've received. After that, we have the superintendent's report. Mark?
Good evening. And again, student board members, we will miss you. I will miss you. I've enjoyed getting to know each one of you from the fall to where we are today, May 18th. You have all grown and developed. You were leaders to begin with, but to hear your voice grow in confidence, and you definitely have something to say. And my charge to you is keep saying it. Keep leading and use that voice. That is so critical and important. You will all go on to amazing things. There's no question about it. So congratulations to the members of the LHS Wildcats Productions who received honors at the 33rd Annual Midwest Media Educators Association High School Video Festival and 2026 Chicago Midwest National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences High School Student Production Awards. The team received 2 first-place honors, 2 second-place honors, and a 4th-place honor. In addition, members Michael Luke Bachero and Liam Kahn were recognized at the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Silver Circle event held on Friday, May 15th at the Chicago Marriott Downtown Magnificent Mile. The Wildcat Productions advisor is Daniel Treptow. Congratulations to LHS science teacher Jennifer Kahn and LHS student activities director Jennifer Ulix on being honored at the Distinguished Service Celebration hosted by the Illinois chapter of the National School Public Relations Association, INSPRA. Their D128 nominators and administrators joined them for the annual celebration held May 8th in Schaumburg. The honor recognizes individuals and groups across Illinois who serve as ambassadors for public education and champions for students and staff. Congratulations to District 128 staff members who received honors at the 5th Annual Lake County Educator of the Year Awards held May 6th at the Lake County Fairgrounds. Michelle Bastiani, a classroom teacher and diverse learner at Vernon Hills High School. Lynn Benson, who's a school administrator at Vernon Hills High School. Monica Caldecott, librarian, Vernon Hills High School. Claire DeBella, who's student support personnel at Libertyville High School. Nora McKiernan, educational service personnel at Vernon Hills High School, and Nikki Olszewski, who's a classroom teacher at Libertyville High School. The awards celebrate the extraordinary educators who make a lasting difference in the lives of students every single day. So now we're going to move on to our Daring Champion Award presentation. This monthly D128 Daring Champion Award celebrate 1 certified staff member, 1 support staff member, and 1 community member or organization who exemplify the district's daring mission. Nominations are submitted by staff. Nominees must demonstrate elements of our daring mission: D for dreamers and doers, A aware, R resilient, healthy, I inquisitive and nimble, and G global. A selection committee of staff members reviews and evaluates nominees. Tonight, we are excited to recognize our April honorees. At the conclusion of the awards, we will take a group photo. So our first honorees in the community category are Debbie Scott and Dalibor Maximovich of LMT Ansrud LP, and they will be introduced by their nominator, Ben Rodriguez.
Good evening. Debbie Scott and Dalibor Maximovich are exceptional nominees for Daring Champions due to their consistent, proactive partnership in advancing the Explore Multiple Paths strategic goal. As active doers, both professionals from LMT Ansrud dedicate their expertise through hosting workplace internships, participating in Daring Day, facilitating career treks, and serving as mentors and judges for student challenges. They demonstrate a strong awareness of the industry-education connection and are highly inquisitive, regularly engaging in district planning and prompting critical conversations about systemic improvements to the high school to workforce bridge. They further exhibit a global perspective by ensuring D128 programming prepares students for careers that are responsive to the broader economic needs. Their combined commitment to developing emerging talent make them vital voices in shaping this district's strategic work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So our next honoree in the certified staff category is Adriana Espinoza, who will be introduced by her nominator, Sarah Kelly.
Good evening. It is an honor to recognize Adriana. Adriana is a voice to so many students, both in her role as a school counselor and a leader within our Latino community. She actively prepares students to meet their future goals, creates meaningful opportunities through events and field trips. She is aware, she remains deeply attuned to each student's needs, always seeking ways to support them in achieving their personal and academic goals. Her awareness ensures students feel seen and heard. She is resilient and healthy in that Adriana is always willing to advocate for students ensuring that they will receive resources, services, encouragement necessary to thrive. Her resilience inspires the same in students she serves. She is inquisitive. Students feel comfortable coming to her because she is thoughtful, curious, and always eager to understand their experiences. She approaches every challenge with creativity, finding new and effective ways to meet student needs. She is also nimble. She is flexible and open to new approaches and new opportunities of exploring innovative approaches that benefit both students and staff. Her adaptability strengthens our school community. She is global. Adriana has a natural ability to build strong, authentic relationships with students and her colleagues. She makes everyone feel welcome, respected, valued, and contributing to the inclusive environment. It is my honor to present this to her.
So our final honoree tonight in the Educational Support Profession category is Lena Squilacci, who will be introduced by her nominator, Jennifer Shepard.
Okay, I broke the rules. I didn't use all of the daring acronyms when I was writing this for you, Lena. I just wrote from the heart. Lena is a fierce advocate for our students and for our staff. From the moment I met her, her focus has been on our students and her peers and creating an environment for success. As a paraprofessional staff member, she's looked for ways to maximize the impact she has on students in whatever capacity she's providing support. She continues her work with students over the summer, helping them complete incomplete coursework. This year, we were fortunate to have her move from LHS to VHHS as our math tutor. From the beginning, she looked for ways to support the students who needed her most. She looked for opportunities to work not only in the ARC, but in the pause room, the classroom, anywhere she could provide them with opportunities to succeed. She determinedly sought out additional access to software systems that would allow her to monitor and identify those students who were struggling. Lena also advocates for her peers. She observes the systems and roles around her and provides support, an ear, ideas, and recognition. She participates in professional development opportunities as a planner, a participant, and a provider. Her feedback from these opportunities is thoughtful, inclusive, and kind, and Lena truly represents the best of an education support professional. And on a personal note, she's been a huge support to me over the last few years and has often reminded me to come prepared with written remarks and not just speak.
So congratulations to our April award winners, and we're going to go ahead and take a picture with you.
Award winners are taking a photo. 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 Award winners are taking a photo.
Thank you, Mark. Next up, we have some items for discussions. We'll start with the transfer resolutions. Dan?
Yeah, we have three transfer resolutions that are coming in June, and so wanted to give you information before that came. So some of this is we're still adjusting to not having the committee, so we're kind of backdating this so you're informed. As school districts, we can't just transfer money from one fund to another. There's legal rules about that. And so there's three transfers that we're doing. One is an interest transfer, interest income in our working cash fund. We're allowed to transfer to the fund most in need, and we're identifying we can move that into the ed fund. If you do it after that, after the end of the year, then you have very limited ways that you can actually get that money transferred to another account. The other one is a fund transfer from ed fund to O&M, and that's the transfer cash to pay out the LHS cafeteria project. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, it's all open. It's really beautiful to see. And then the third one is going to be working cash abatement, and it's essentially a transfer out of the working cash fund into the O&M fund again to pay for the cash for that project. The fund transfer from ed to O&M requires a public hearing, so we'll have a notice in the paper, and so we'll have a hearing at the June meeting. But the other transfers don't require a hearing for that. So that's the info on those coming.
Next up, we'll have a board discussion. The board will discuss topics for the summer board retreat. I opened up for the board members to speak their mind.
Nothing to say here, but I haven't really thought about what would be the items you would like to discuss at the board meeting. So I think one of the areas that we can have more discussion, and here I would like to first acknowledge our teachers and the student reps who provide their voice and very unique perspectives about things that happen within the school district. And I recognize that the board has opportunities to improve on a lot of things, and feedback would be always useful. But I think more importantly, what you have done through your voices is given us the confidence that we are on the right track. We as a district are doing the right things, and we hope to continue doing that and prepare the students for the better future. So thank you for all you have done through your voices.
Something I think that we should discuss at the summer conference is a strategic plan, finalizing all of that and getting that set up for next year.
Yep.
Yeah. In addition to that, I'd like to have us review the district's HR overall functions as well as its capacity. Obviously, we need to be more effective in that regard. So if we could spend some time discussing HR in general terms. And the second thing that I would like to add for discussion is a review of the district's performance and wage administration program for our leadership roles.
Anyone else?
Yes. I would, as we finalize our strategic plans and establish our goals, benchmarks, and how we're going to move forward, I would like to establish a school board annual agenda calendar so that each month we know what's coming as far as presentations. And then I would like to discuss as a board, how we want to be communicated with and to by Mark and his team. I think it's going to be very important that for all presentations, we make sure that they're tied to our strategic plan, because that's the only way we're going to meet our goals. And if it's not tied to the strategic plan, then we need to figure out a way to tie it, or we need to abandon it. And then just, what information we need to help us make decisions. For me specifically, I'm looking to see, what are we doing? How are we doing it? And how are we going to measure it? And then what will success look like?
Anything, Julie?
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, but
I know. Yeah. I wanted to, address and, implement the subcommittees, potentially a policy, and also, I'm sorry, the word's not coming to me, around like the financial aspects and things of that nature. So those two subcommittees, we can get into the details there. And then just overall, somebody alluded to it, but eliminating some of the redundancy and, streamlining for efficiencies where in communication and stuff with the way we, interact and Mark interacts with us, those type of things. Just to make sure that all his time is being put into the right places and used most effectively.
makes sense. And I did have one item to just generally discuss overall board governance in how we govern the district and how we interact with the administration. And then as the strategic plan gets finalized, right, everything needs to be anchored in what are the outcomes that we are trying to progress for the district. And all communication that we talk about, everything has to be anchored around those lines. So should go in the strategic plan on a lot of the items that we mentioned should be in there. So it's an in-depth review of that and how we come out of that in having the plan for the future. Any other comments before we close this item out? Okay. Next up is the VHHS pool HVAC replacement project delay.
Yeah, so we have the report in there as an update on the project. So big picture, we got notified that the equipment that we pre-ordered early is going to be further delayed. And so we either are going to have to delay the project or move forward with it in different phases. And so the information's there on terms of the background, but what we're recommending moving forward with is phasing the project into two in the fall. And yeah, that's a high-level overview of what that is.
Any questions from the board?
I did have, let's see. So option 3 is recommended. So now do we have a plan in place? Have all of the stakeholders been communicated with? Are they aware of what's going on? Is there a practice plan for the Vernon Hills athletes?
Yeah, you want to talk to?
Yeah, so we met with the school administration, the athletic director, PE director, and also the aquatics director, our assistant director of building and grounds in the building. And we sat down and talked through the strategies and where we are at. the reliability of the equipment that we presently have, since it's the original equipment. It's been repaired over the years. And that's where we came to the conclusion that, the equipment is not reliable. I mean, a few months ago, we were going through a belt once a week. So we were able to make adjustments. Now we're changing belts every 5 weeks. So we're limping the equipment along. So we're not confident that it could last if you wanted to extend the project till next year. So we had a discussion. We discussed how it would affect the swim programs. So the decision was made to, it's at the end of the girls' season and beginning of the boys, to bump it a week earlier into the girls to kind of balance it out between both. And so I said, we sat down and talked about the different options and how to be affected. Presently, the schedule, as far as I know, has not been set by the athletic directors as to use here at Libertyville High School. Stevenson can also be an option. The Park District at Vernon Hills, their pool can be an option. And also Mundelein could be an option if they needed to. So like I said, at this time, they haven't finalized anything. So we don't know what the effect will be on Rise Aquatics. We know the Turtles program at Vernon Hills will have to be shut down for that 8 weeks. They won't have any pool use because we won't have any ventilation, so we can't use a facility with no ventilation.
Okay, yeah, right now my priority is the Vernon Hills athletes.
Yeah.
And making sure that they get their practice time and hours. And I mean, are we going to be able to guarantee that to our athletes?
Yeah, the athletic directors will work through that. So between the different sites, if need be, but the first priority is to use Libertyville High School. And then unfortunately, for any of the meets, I don't believe it affects the girls because it's the end of the season, but any meets that the boys would have in the beginning of their season, they'd have to do it on the road until we open up.
When will that practice plan be made available?
I'm not sure. I can't answer that right now. I have to talk to the athletic directors, but I know they've been in discussion. And so my understanding so far is they will, Vernon Hills will follow the Libertyville practice. So as soon as Libertyville is done, then Vernon Hills would come in following that. So, and then use the same amount of hours of pool use.
So the plan is 8 weeks. I don't know anything about pool ventilation or anything, but I do know that construction sometimes can be delayed. I mean, is there a possibility or probability that it'll be more than 8 weeks?
There's always that possibility. Basically what we're doing, we have the original units in the building. We are opening a space in the roof this summer and then capping it. Once the equipment's on site, and then we start in October, they'll disassemble the old equipment, the old ductwork, and take it out, some of it out through the roof, some of it out through the door. The brand new equipment will come in sections, will be lowered in through the roof and then put together, assembled. Then all the ductwork has to be custom made from that unit to go to where it needs to distribute. So one of the big lead times is going to be making the ductwork. But so it could, there could be some delays. If it does, it would go in a winter break. If it did take longer than the 8 weeks, hopefully we don't have the final schedule together with the contractors. So we're still working on that. So if we need to adjust start time and end time of the project, we still have time to make that adjustment.
Okay, and then, so you're talking about going through the roof and stuff. I mean, what if there's a foot of snow up there or like an inch of ice? Does that have any impact? Because it's going to be winter.
Well, hopefully we have a mild winter. Most of the roof work, so we're going to have the roof work done over summer. We're going to cut the holes. That type of stuff will be done ahead of time. We might have just a little bit of roof work and some structure, but going in October and beginning of November, we will have to work around the weather. But the majority of the work is going to be inside the building.
Okay. And then I guess so my ask is, and not for you, is that when we're planning for our athletes, that we have some sort of contingency for them to go beyond 8 weeks, just so if there is, issues that we're not scrambling at the end to keep the practices and stuff fluid and current.
Okay.
Dr. Young, are you part of that planning conversation?
Day in, day out, like practice schedule, but in terms of kind of what the options were, yeah, I was a part of that meeting. I think for us, I had a lot of questions and wonderings in the initial meeting, and I think there were a couple of things that Mark brought up. One was obviously the cost on potentially delaying the project is significant, and two, it's that risk we run that if we don't try to fix it and it goes out without the parts, we lose the pool for seemingly the school year. And so we did try to adjust the project to have breaks associated with it and to spread it out more amongst a couple of seasons rather than initially where it seemed like the boys were going to take the full hit. Wes, to answer your question around the practice schedule, I think Justin and John have a pretty good plan right now for after school. The questions I still have are boys typically, for example, practice before school and after school. And so those are some of the questions that I'm trying to work out is to ensure we have the same pool time. But I know that's ongoing.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the piece of the conversation. I support the project. I just want to make sure that our athletes aren't affected.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm anchored on this in terms of like this still feels more of a construction update than a programming update. I would like to look at it from that. My son has been through the swim program at Vernon Hills, and so I know the amount of effort that the athletes put in, and we love their accolades, but at the same time, we need to support them, right? Because that's what builds them up to where they are. We need a much more detailed plan in terms of how are we going to support programming, the different timings. I would like to see that plan, and then I would like to see contingency, right? Margaret, it wasn't a good answer that, hopefully we have a mild winter. No, we have to plan for it. What if we have a really rough winter? How are we going to deal with it? How are we going to make this plan where as much contingency is put and with input from the right stakeholders? It's not just the input from here's the plan for the construction. Here's the plan for how are our athletes going to deal with it. Are the coaches on board with this? Are they getting the appropriate input into this plan so that we can manage everything? And if they have to pivot, then they are able to pivot because they've already prepared their athletes that way. Little bit more thought into that. And lastly, I think some of these things were known even when my son was part of the swim team. So I'm a little bit surprised by where it is being addressed, but I'm fully supportive of the project. It needs to be done. Let's just put in the right contingencies and the amount of planning that is really needed to pull this off. This is not an easy feat, I think, managing the swim season. So those are my 2 cents.
I'll echo some of the things, but I'll also add, we are at the end of the school year, so we have adequate time to really spend on working out the logistics. It's absolutely reasonable that there are unforeseen circumstances because of delays, supply chain logistics and all that. But I think what we can see that there could be challenges coming for that. Again, we may not know today, but they might come up. So doing that planning to ensure that both the schools, both the high schools have equal time at the pool. Both students their timing can be accommodated around their educational schedules. So we work towards that, make that as a priority. And if that requires us to sacrifice few things around the additional support that we additional, I would say, the time that has been given to other areas. We may want to work on that as well carefully. So again, there's a lot of stakeholders involved here, but prioritizing student needs should be something we should keep at the forefront. I think with summer at our disposal, it may be a lot easier to work it out.
So I'll say prior to the start of the school year, we will work out the logistics. We will develop a schedule with contingencies, and no later than your August board meeting will we have a fully developed schedule where we will plan out exactly what that will look like, and we will build in contingencies as well.
I just have one more question. So the painting of the pool vessel is still going to happen this summer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How confident are you that the air handling system's going to last that long? Because doesn't it need to be, if you're painting something like that, the humidity need to be controlled?
Well, we have exhausts, we have some exhaust on the roof. So actually, we won't be running the unit while the painting and that is going on.
Okay.
The vessel will be emptied, and we'll be doing the vapor barrier on the walls and doing the repairs around the ceiling where the ceiling meets the roof deck. So we're actually creating basically like a plastic bag. We're keeping the moisture in it. That's how we're going to treat the air. Right now, it's leaking out at the seams. Is, I guess, an easy way to explain it. So it's actually penetrating out into the other parts of the school.
Okay.
Moisture, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, so we're talking about, aging equipment. Is there anything else pool related coming up that I'm not, to keep things going and from causing further damage? Is there anything else big on the?
Big on for Vernon Hills Pool? No, we, I think it was 2016. We changed the pool filter system in all the pumps. We actually had a failure we had a sand filter. It was a steel membrane, and we had a hole about that big in the side of it. We were able to strap and cover that hole and limp through for 5 to 6 months, and then get our permit with IDPH and downstate, to change out the filter system. So all that equipment is,
10
it's
years
going to be
old?
about 10 years old now. Yeah. But average life expectancy on that filter is 25 years, and the pumps are running everything. So, everything's checked on a daily basis as far as that goes. The pool heater was replaced, I believe, in 2017, somewhere in that area. That's going to need to be replaced in the next couple of years, and that's a minor thing to replace the pool heater.
Just with the scoreboard too.
Oh, yeah, the scoreboard. No decision has been made on what type of scoreboard will go in the pool, but the scoreboard is going to need to be replaced in the pool.
That's not anything big that's going to shut it down.
It shouldn't affect operations.
Yeah, that's what I meant, anything big.
That would affect a meat or something like that. So.
Thank
Some
you.
things are bigger to
Do you know when that's happening?
that.
The scoreboard.
I mean, we are an original target for doing it this summer, but we're exploring our scoreboards right now. And so stay tuned. We're going to have some more information for you soon.
Any other comments? Questions? We get to the next item, which is the site accessibility review.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information in the packet. At a really high level, we did an accessibility review of our outside spaces. And so we had our architect and a code expert look through that and spent a lot of time reviewing the area, understanding the implications, and figuring out the solutions for what to do. And at this point, we've identified all the areas that we want to take action on. And where we're at right now is we're looking at doing this. There's a number of things on that list, right? You can see, you can either just try to do them one at a time, but our best sense is in terms of, in our opinion, smooth of operation is having this all be one project, that we can have one, what's it called? General contractor oversee the whole thing. And so we would target that for next summer. And so that gives us time to now kind of develop that, go out to bid in the late fall, winter, have that done so that we're ready to go start summer. Very rough ballpark is around probably $1 million. So, but like, that's super, super rough. But that's where we're at. And so both the architect and district, we felt comfortable with that rough schedule and that timeline that we were able to address all the findings.
Any questions? Next item is also yours, then the FY27 budget timeline update.
Yeah, just at the last meeting, we talked about timeline for budget hearing. We did schedule it for June, but then we've rescheduled, we scheduled it for June 15th, and then we have rescheduled it to June 22nd. And then we're going to look at adoption either July or August, a little bit later. We just need a bit more time with it. And so don't come here on June 5th. Well, you can come here on June 15th, but we won't have a hearing. But we will have it for the June 22nd, but we would not have the final adoption at that point. We'll do that at a future meeting. So that's really the update there. And then we'll have more budget information that we'll share shortly in the future. So be on the lookout.
Thank you, Dan. So next up on the agenda is the process for filling the board vacancy. You want to go through a discussion on the timeline, the dates, and the overall process for filling the vacancy. Start.
Yeah, I can start. So we have 60 days to fill the board vacancy, and the 60 days has already begun. And so that will take us to right around July 10th. And so for discussion this evening in open session is for the board to develop a timeline from the when applications would be due, how long the board would like to review the applications, when the board can convene in closed session to discuss the applications and select those that they want to bring forward for interviews, the date of the interviews. So yeah, all that needs to be discussed tonight so that we can post this information tomorrow morning. So why don't we start there?
So a couple things that I'm just going to throw out there for discussion, right? We are trying to post the vacancy tomorrow. I think we need roughly at least a couple of weeks for people to respond to it, right? With there being a long weekend in between. And I'm going to rattle off a bunch of things just for consideration. This isn't by no means the final plan, but if we look at the dates right now, it's the 18th. Today, 19th is when we will have it posted. We probably should have it open at least till the 2nd or 3rd, somewhere in that week, so that we give people adequate time to put in the applications while still adhering to a tight timeline. I mean, it's summer's coming up. We also will have a tight timeline to get to the decisions. I would say that the board probably needs a week or two to take a look at, like, here's all the applications come in. Who do we want to bring in for interviews? I'd suggest just looking at the timeline to maybe target like 3 or 4 people that we are bringing in for an interview. We will need a special board meeting likely to take a look at like all the candidates that have come in and to decide who we want to bring in a discussion. And then potentially have the interviews all on the same date. I think but if we do 3 or 4 candidates that we are bringing in instead of a bigger slate of candidates, it might help us get through those in a single day. one of the suggestions I would have, again, I'm rattling off a bunch of suggestions for consideration, is probably meet somewhere around June 15th. We already had that date blocked off. So we can meet on June 15th just to decide on who we want to bring in, give people a week's notice to come in, and then June 22nd, where we have our board meeting already, couple that up with actually interviewing the candidates so that we are able to get through the slate of candidates and we have enough time before July 10th to do that. And the last thing, we might need to have like a special board meeting just to swear in the candidate, whoever we go with. So as I rattled off a lot of the things, I expected everyone to memorize all of that and then now respond. I'm just kidding. But
I opened the calendar and I was looking through it, and I think it's a very reasonable timeline. We are thinking about sending out the notification tomorrow. So that's 19th, and then
And one thing, Rahul, sorry, I forgot to mention some of the reason why I threw out a lot of the dates is because we'll have to mention these dates when we send that out tomorrow. So then that's why the discussion, so that we can all align.
yes, that's why I was
Sorry to
looking at the
interrupt.
no,
So-
that's why I was looking at the calendar to
yep.
again chalk the dates. So
Can we
19th, that is-
use the basic framework that we used for our most recent vacancy?
Yeah.
With,
This is the same like essential framework, but just looking at the dates is first the discussion on when can we align, when can most people be free, and we can do it this way.
sure.
So President, were you thinking 2nd of June for the application
Roughly.
deadline?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2nd of June, so that it gives them even in that week a couple days to put in their application.
Reasonable, and then we have 2 weeks to review since you
2
mentioned
weeks, so
15.
June 2nd to 15th, a little short of 2 weeks. We have 13 days, but I think we'll have all the candidates come in, and then that way on the 15th we can meet up and decide who we want to bring in.
All right, I am not available on the 15th. So just putting that out there.
What about the rest of the board? I mean,
I'm available.
Available. And I think at that point, we only need the feedback from individual board members as the top candidate. So even though we may not be there, but we can have our
Still provide
choices, and then we do that same kind of a ranking system to see who are the top.
Yeah, I can
four.
always, I'll review the applications and submit.
So I think review of applications and feedback would be a useful thing to have by that point for us to, because we are not making any decisions on a candidate. We are just trying to shortlist the top candidates.
correct. We are trying to decide who we are bringing in.
That's reasonable. So 19th, 2nd, 15th, 3 dates.
19th, 2nd, 15th, and 22nd.
Yeah.
4 dates. So
19th of what?
So 19th is tomorrow. We
Oh,
need to
tomorrow.
post the
Yeah.
vacancy.
Never mind, I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Got it.
And then 2nd June to get in, 15th for us to decide who we want to bring in, and then 22nd to actually host the interviews and hopefully the debrief.
Perfect.
The only thing is, so we're going to do interviews on the same day as the board meeting?
Yes.
Before? I would assume.
We could either do it before or after. We could also start the board meeting earlier, or we can do the interviews earlier as well. So that we don't necessarily have to decide right now, but I mean, there's some flexibility with time.
Okay.
So just to confirm, so we will host this tomorrow, May 19th. And I'm assuming, and I don't want to assume, but is the board open to using the exact same application that we used last time? Or,
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
okay, that makes it easier?
Yeah, we need
Makes
to,
it easier, that's all.
So we will post the
nice
application that we
process,
used last time. It will stay open until June 2nd, and then for clarity, applications will close on June 2nd at the end of the business day, so 5 p.m.
PM.
Okay. The board will then have between June 2nd and June 15th. On June 15th, the board will convene in a closed or special session to discuss all of the applications, and then narrow the applications down to those individuals that you want to bring forward. And then the interviews will be held on June 22nd. Time to be determined. It will either take place before or after our board meeting. And yeah, so is the board amenable to that?
Yes, sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, great. We have our process. Next up is the consent vote agenda, which typically we approve in a single motion as a board. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Hold on a second.
Austin.
Aye.
Deschmok.
Can I interrupt
Oh, I'm
discussion
sorry.
before that? Just discussion in case anybody wants to discuss before we take a vote as a process, right? Just I'm putting it
If
as a
anybody
process.
wants to get anything pulled, I don't.
Okay, I'll do it
Everyone
again.
is okay with?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Austin.
Aye.
Deschmok.
Aye.
Fliegel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Are we good, Carol?
Yes.
Okay. So next up are some agenda items for action. So due to the vacancy in the office of the vice president, the board must elect a new vice president. We'll now accept nominations for the position.
I'd like
the-
to, I'm sorry.
The nominations are now in order for the office of the vice president. If more than one nomination is received, then a vote will be taken to elect the vice president.
I'd like to nominate West Poland.
Second.
Any other
Oh, there's no second.
nomination?
When I was thinking about this, I had Dr. Fliegel as my nominee, so I was thinking about him. But since you have nominated Wes, and that means you don't want to be considered for this position, is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
So,
Okay.
So just a clarification, so that will now also open up the position for the secretary, right? Okay. So we'll have to make that as well.
Correct.
So can that happen at this meeting since it was not on the agenda? Oh, okay.
Seeing Wes is nominated, I just have to ask, are there any other nominations for the office of vice president? Seeing none, then hearing none, nominations for the office of the vice president are closed. And we just need a roll call vote. Or do we- since there's no other nominations.
Right. Yes, I'll do a roll call. Sorry, let me see where I left up. Oops. Deschmok.
Aye.
Fliegel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. So next up, the nominations are now in order for the office of the secretary.
Since I did not anticipate that, I would then nominate Nina Austin for the position.
Any other nominees?
I would like to nominate Rahul.
I respect that, but I'll decline that. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess Nina is nominated, and I'm hearing that there are no other nominations for the office of the secretary. So hearing none, the nominations for the office of secretary are closed. And then you just need to do a roll call vote.
Yeah, I'm just having problems in board book. It's asking for a motion in a second, and I don't know how to cancel that out. It won't save the action until I do that, so.
Okay. And so by unanimous consent, and Nina Austin is the office of the secretary.
It's just not saving the action because it's saying you have to select who made the motion as a, elect, you know, this.
Do we want to do a motion in a second?
Could we,
Sure.
could we just do it on both together in one?
Can we have a motion in a second for finalizing the nominations for the vice president and the office of the secretary?
And then mention who's vice
And
president.
Wes Poland is
Vice
the nominated as the vice president, and Nina Austin as the secretary.
Deshmukh so moved.
Flegel second.
Thank you. Okay, now I'll go through roll call again. Deshmukh,
Aye.
Legal,
Aye.
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Carol, I'll wait for you.
That's appointment.
That's the consent
And
agenda.
bills payable, those two things you missed.
Consent agenda.
Oh, there was, that's right, okay, that's right. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. We're at the next
Okay.
one. Sorry.
So next up, we have the monthly board meeting schedule. So I need a motion to approve the monthly board meeting schedule for 2026, 2027 as presented.
So moved.
Second Flegel.
Who said so moved? I'm sorry. Oh, Nina. Okay. Legal second.
Okay.
Is there discussion or do I go ahead?
Any discussion on the schedule?
Okay. Legal,
Aye.
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Deshmukh.
Aye.
Okay. Next up is the reciprocal reporting system agreement between the Lake County Sheriff and D128. I need a motion to approve the reciprocal reporting system agreement between the Sheriff of Lake County and the Board of Education of Community High School District 128.
Poland so moved.
Austin second.
So any discussions? Any questions on this?
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
Deshmukh,
Aye.
Legal.
Aye.
So next up, we have the intergovernmental agreement with Libertyville High School District 70 for physical therapy services. Start with a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement for the physical therapy services with Libertyville High School District 70 for the 2026-2027 school year.
Deshmukh so moved.
Austin second.
Any discussions? Dan, do you want to present a quick update?
Yeah, so what happens sometimes is services that are, you don't necessarily need a full position for, sometimes districts share. And so last month, we approved an agreement that we share a hearing itinerant with Mundelein High School District 120. We have a similar arrangement with Libertyville 70 for a physical therapist. And so this is a renewal of that agreement. It's the same number of FTE we had before. I've got the cost estimate for you. And so we're recommending the same agreement that we have.
Any questions from the board?
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
Deshmukh,
Aye.
Legal,
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye. Okay, next up is the Rise Aquatics Agreement for the 2026-2027 school year. I need a motion to approve the agreement with Rise Aquatics for the 2026-2027 school year.
I have a comment before we make that motion. Because of the VHS's pool system, I just want to ensure that RISE probably is going to get impacted in some form or shape, right? So does this agreement put
We need a
us-
motion before we can discuss.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Motion to approve. Deshmukh?
Need a second.
Second.
Okay. Now let's
Yeah, sorry.
the discussion and the question.
Yeah, because I just thought that there were some things that were coming from the prior thing, so it might have been worthwhile discussing it first before putting it as a motion. But in any case, so my only thought here was that if we have to go and approve this particular agreement, we just want to ensure that we are not disadvantaging our students in that process. And also RISE is not getting impacted in any form or shape because of the changes that will be anticipated in the next few months. So is that a possibility?
You're asking about, sorry, so you're asking about.
So the VHS pool is now will get impacted, and VHS students will be then using, we are looking at different plans, and the LHS pool will be used by our students. And RISE also has this agreement with the LHS pool. So if we have to bring our students here from VHS to LHS, then RISE, their needs may get impacted, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to understand, like how will that logistics play out, and have we thought about all those things?
Because we don't exactly know the schedule impact, we don't know that exact impact. We would anticipate them getting impacted for the period of time which the Vernon Hills pool is unavailable. It's unknown right now the extent to which that will be impacted. As we get closer and get a better schedule, we'll understand the impacts. So we believe this agreement is kind of clear in terms of how priorities are ranked in terms of decision-making, in terms of availability. The other thing that I would say is that this agreement, and even if you read the last year's agreement, it really stays, and all that this really does is update the fee. So I believe if you didn't really do anything, the prior agreement would still remain in place with the older fee. So this is largely about updating the fee, really, with the CPI adjustment that we've typically done. So to answer your question, I think it does cover in terms of the priority. We do anticipate it's going to be impacted. We don't know yet to what extent that it might be impacted. And I thought you might have had another question.
Yeah, so it was basically, again, that since they will be impacted and our students will be impacted, we just want to ensure that all stakeholders have a clear understanding of what to expect with regards to those changes.
Does RISE have an idea that they might be impacted? Have we had the discussion with them?
I don't know. Typically, so the way our communication would work is talking to the athletic directors, and the athletic directors talk to the aquatic directors, and the aquatic directors would talk to the different people that use our pools in terms of, there would be conversations with all the coaches, the teams. There's other groups that use our facilities from time to time, and so they're going to have to kind of consider the broader impact to that. But, I fully anticipate that they're going to be talking with the impacts to the various stakeholders once they get a better idea of what that is.
The exhibit in this agreement, it says September 1, 2023 to August 31st, 2024. So that should be changed, but it also, that says the RISE facility usage schedule. So that's attached as an exhibit. So how does that impact the agreement now? Because we don't have a schedule to give them.
So you're saying in the exhibits.
So Exhibit A, page 6, it discusses the usage schedule. Well, we can't commit to a usage schedule.
Yeah, my understanding is that let me go back and say my limited understanding of this agreement is that what this does is kind of keep a status quo of what's been happening, and things can come up, and from what my understanding was is that there is prioritized things, like things will come up that we'll have to adjust based on that. And so to your question, even of the date of the other one, I noticed that the date wasn't changed last year, and so I didn't have any knowledge to change the date necessarily for this year in terms of the years on that exhibit. But when I checked on the exhibit, it looked like, from my understanding, that it was accurate from what I was told. So in terms of how this delay would impact them, I don't know that we know yet.
Rather than assume, do you think we should schedule a meeting to discuss this with RISE before executing anything and putting us at a commitment we may not be able to fulfill?
We can. I think if you don't, the agreement how do I say this? Last year's agreement continues to remain in place with the schedule that is in there the same now. So that contract is enforced. And if you look at the termination, this is not a one-year agreement. This is an agreement that kind of continues until both parties decide that they don't want to continue to have it anymore. And so from my understanding, this is about updating the fee, really, in terms of what that is. But to your point of other impacts, yeah, I'm not sure what those impacts might be. And we can certainly look to get a better idea of what the schedule will be like for RISE in the 26-27 year. So we can certainly work on that.
So Dan, I think generally from the questions, one point is I don't think we have clarity to make the decision. That's what I'm putting it out for the board.
Yes.
To think through, that we don't have the clarity to make the decision. I don't want to be locked in. And even from just a fee increase, I understand that that's our intent. There is just a fee increase, but it's an enforceable agreement and there's a schedule in there and all that. So I think we would serve ourselves better by asking all those questions and having a plan rather than assuming there's a plan right now.
Yeah.
But I throw it out for the board to consider.
Yeah,
I agree. I can't support this with a vague understanding.
And then I'm in agreement, but my other concern is it the fee increase is nominal, right? But we're proposing a fee increase when the usage might actually be less. So I don't know. And like I said, we don't know if they're good with that. I don't know.
I think one way to kind of address this is maybe in the coming weeks that we have some kind of a rough schedule chalked out of how that transition will look between BHS and LHS with regards to the pool times, and then looking at these other entities who also use the facility as to how to accommodate them. And the more clarity we can have around it, it becomes a lot easier for all stakeholders to recognize what are the limitations and what are the positives that can come out of this.
So I think it's a reasonable request for us to bring back to you in June, a clearer understanding of what, some of the dates are. There will probably need to be flexibility in language because we may not know the exact dates that the pool may or may not be available. Again, if you look at Exhibit A, it's fairly like, this is when you can use it. And, but what we're saying is you may not be able to because it will be offline. And so we will need to build in flexibility in language. The other thing to just recognize that RISE is not a district program. RISE is a vendor, but RISE is someone who uses our facilities But our these are district operated facilities for school district usage, and RISE chooses to contract with us. And so we will work with them. I know RISE supports many of our students. It's a great program. We've enjoyed a wonderful relationship. We'd like to continue that. But again, I just want to be clear that as district facilities, our number one priority is to our programs, our students, our teams, our athletics, all those other pieces.
You want to table the motion?
I think we should table the motion then.
So just to get clarity, you're looking for how might Exhibit A be updated based on the impacts from the project in the fall? Got it. I don't know that we might necessarily answer that in June, because that's an implication after some other previous things are decided, like there's other things that have to happen to know what that impact might be. So I just want to let you know. So we'll look at that for sure.
I think what I'm hearing from the entire board is that we need a little bit more clarity in that plan before we come up with a decision to do this in what we are signing them up for and what we are signing ourselves up for. Carol, are we good?
We're good.
From procedure perspective. Okay, next up on the agenda is the annual Lake County indemnification agreement.
Wait, do we have to make a motion to table it?
Well, we didn't vote, though.
No,
Or can we-
I just clicked table.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if we needed to lay it down or.
Discussion,
Okay.
tabled, so it'll come back. So there was
Here.
no acceptance of the motion. I mean, no.
Good luck, leaders.
Okay. So can we have a motion to approve the annual Lake County indemnification agreement as presented?
Poland, so moved.
Legal second.
Any questions? Seeing none, let's go ahead.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Deschmok,
Aye.
Fliegel,
Aye.
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Next up is the FY27 Treasurer's Bond. Can we have a motion to approve the FY27 Treasurer's Bond?
Poland, so moved.
Deshmukh second.
Dan, a little bit background.
Yeah, you're required by law to have for your treasurer, who is me, to have a treasurer's bond, and so in place before the fiscal year, and so that's what this is. There used to be a little bit of kind of a gray fogginess in terms of what level does that bond need to be, but thankfully the General Assembly passed some clarity in terms of like what number do you count, and so we know exactly the amount that we need to be covered. Our current bond is 11 million, and I'm recommending staying with that. Technically, what we need to have is the 10% of that. Boy, I wrote that wrong. Sorry. We need to have 9.9 million. So I just think 11 is fine, and I would just recommend continuing to stay there. It's the same cost as last year as well.
Any questions from anyone?
Austin,
Aye.
Deschmok,
Aye.
Fliegel,
Aye.
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Next up, we have the audit engagement for FY26. Can we have a motion to approve the engagement letter with Baker Tilly?
Poland,
for-
so moved.
Legal second.
Wait, you didn't finish saying the motion. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, Mithilish.
So can we have a motion to approve the engagement letter with Baker Tilly for FY26 auditing services?
Poland, so moved.
Legal second.
Okay. Any questions now?
I do have, there's a slight decrease in auditing costs. Dan, is there anything in particular other than Baker Tilly may be a larger organization, or is there anything from the scope of work?
No, within the proposals, we got a range of fees. This was not the most expensive, but it wasn't the cheapest either. That's, part of what we're considering. So it really depends on that firm and what they're deciding to charge for the services. And so we, not only did we like them from a process point of view and irregardless of the money, like we were looking at in terms of quality of audit, we liked them the best and it happens to be less money than what we spent last year. So, and it wasn't it wasn't, in my opinion, an outrageous number or anything like that. We had higher numbers. We also had lower numbers too.
Thank you.
And I think Dan, you had also shared their profiles, and it looked like the volume and the size they work with, that might give them that advantage of offering high quality services for a fair price.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really would say it's extremely close. When you're talking numbers like 68 to 72 is extremely close numbers. But yeah, they're definitely a bigger firm, certainly than our previous auditor.
Deschmuk,
Aye.
Legal,
Aye.
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Next up, we have the District 128 Consolidated Plan. Can I have a motion to approve the 2026-2027 Consolidated District Plan, CDP as presented?
Deshmukh, so moved.
Austin, second.
Tom, some background.
Yep, just a reminder, this is the plan that explains how the district will use all of our federal title grants. So Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV, and 5. And then we also have our IDEA funds. This is very much a document that can be just mildly updated from year to year. What we did this year is we'll put much more emphasis on professional learning related to co-teaching. So that's the major substantive change. The board needs to approve this so that then we as an administration can apply for the individual title grants and IDEA funds.
Any questions?
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
Deschmuk,
Aye.
Legal.
Aye.
So next up, we have the textbook adoptions for 2026-2027. Can I have a motion to approve the updated 2026-2027 textbook adoption requests as presented?
Poland, so moved.
Austin, second.
And just thank you. The substance of the books has not changed. It's the same books as before. There was questions last time about some of the shipping costs. We did some research on that and had those shipping costs adjusted. And there was also showing a shipping cost for an e-text, but it was actually the e-text accompanies the actual paper book, the tangible book that you put in your hands. So that's where the costs were, and we highlighted those in yellow for the board's information.
Thank you for looking into it, Tom. Appreciate it.
Questions?
Maybe just a comment based on, again, my educational background. Are students more now going into e-text as a default, or they still prefer paper text because it carries a lot of things? You have to ship them, you have to store them, you have to redistribute them. So is there any preference that students are showing towards what kind of learning material they prefer?
Yeah, I haven't done a formal investigation of that question. Anecdotally, it's some students prefer the paper textbooks, some students prefer the digital. We tend to have kind of both versions available for students because there are some students that may not be able to use a digital text for various reasons.
Yeah, ADA, I understand.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of a mixed review right now.
Maybe that's something to just explore, because at some point it may be of value that we can switch to e-text for everything. Again, it's not that we have to do it, but keep the hard copy paper text to a smaller percentage.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
Deschmok,
Aye.
Fliegel,
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye. Next up is the updated educational support professional staffing for 2026-2027. Can I have a motion to approve the updated educational support professional staffing plan as presented?
Poland, so moved.
Deshmukh, second.
And anything to call out?
Yeah, so in April, when we usually target for ESP staffing, we knew there's a few other things we were still working on that we weren't quite ready to make a formal recommendation at the time. One of which is this half-time bookkeeper that you see there. So, as we further refine and better understanding our needs, that's what we're bringing here. Just so you know, the ESP staffing model is a little bit more flexible than it is with the teaching in terms of your ability to add needed positions as you need them versus, it's not necessarily as dependent on you need someone to teach a class starting the first day of school. There's a little bit more flexibility in terms of that. And so there's a few things we're still looking through, but this is one that we're comfortable recommending at this time.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
Deschmok,
Aye.
Fliegel,
Aye.
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
So next up is, can we have a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement with the Libertyville High School / Vernon Hills High School Federation of Teachers regarding health insurance contributions?
Poland, so moved.
Legal second.
Then
Yeah, so those of you may know, we're having some pretty big changes in terms of how our insurance is structured for this next coming year, and we're in open enrollment right now. One of the things, once we got the rates and kind of understand people's choices, one of the things that was an unintended outcome consequence of our structure is mathematically, if we had two teachers that were employed here and had a family, they before were always on family, one picked family insurance, the other one waived. But the math actually said that it's cheaper for them for one person to do employee only and for the other one to do employee plus children. And that is technically true in terms of the math that wasn't something we intended on. It just was an unknown at the time. And so we had that and then kind of knew and been talking to folks like, yeah, I guess that is the way that looks. And then I really need to say to great credit, the union came and said like, hey, can we figure out something here that makes sense? And we talked it through and it was like, yeah, like that, it makes total sense to me that if you both work here and you have a family, we should be able to figure out a way to structure this so that your family can just be on one family plan. Because if you're on separate plans, you have separate deductibles and separate out-of-pocket maxes, and we think it makes more sense to do this. And so this, this truly is a cost-neutral shift for us. This, in theory, could cost the plan more in terms of claims, but I believe that is vastly immaterial. There's a number of people affected by this. This is 40-ish of our teachers are affected by what's in front of us right here. And so we think this is a very good and timely because we are in the second week of open enrollment. And so if you have not finished open enrollment, please continue to do so. So yeah, this was I believe, truly a great example of being a problem that we didn't realize being, forgive me, like made aware of it and then coming together with a solution that makes sense. This really was a beautiful example of that.
Questions from the board?
Just a clarification. So again, for my understanding purely, so the employee only plus the employee plus children plan was net cheaper in the old structure compared to the family plan?
It was lower cost to the employees.
Both the employees together.
When you combine them, yeah. So if you do the math of they're on employee only and employee plus children, what their contribution would be versus if one of them took family and the other one waived.
Okay.
It was cheaper to do that one. And that was not how we intended to structure it. We didn't necessarily know until we got the numbers because it's a whole different, we were 4-tier versus 2-tier. So we didn't really know what the impact might be. So we're trying to make it so that it is the same cost effectiveness for them to choose family.
Maybe the insurance company was not aware of that either.
They were. It's just the structure, the way our benefit structure is. So it was just unintended outcome.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Austin.
Aye.
Deschmuck.
Aye.
Legal.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Next up, we just have some information. Since Jim is no longer on the board, we don't have anything from IASB to report.
Right.
But we do we need to select a delegate for?
We do. We can. It might probably be better to do that in June so that it can be formally noticed. But yes, we will need to select a delegate.
Anything from CDOL?
No, but there's a meeting coming up in June, so for next meeting, there will be something, I'm sure.
Okay. And then from EdRed?
Legislatively, there are 2 weeks left of this session. So in June, I will have more updates on what actual legislation passed and how that may or may not impact our district. But I do want to remind everybody that the EdRed mini summit is June 11th. So if you haven't RSVP'd yet and you're available, please sign up. We've got some great breakout sessions. There'll be a legislative update. We've got one that will be how best to advocate. So if you're looking to go to any of the lobbying days in the future, that will be a good one to attend. And our feeder district superintendent, Dr. Peter Hannigan, will be presenting on governance growth and the excellent, the Hawthorne story from 2019 to 2026. So lots of great offerings. So please sign up if you're available.
Anything else that anyone wants to call out? Okay, seeing none. We'll move into the future agenda items. Anything anyone would like to add to the agenda?
Looks pretty full to me.
No? Okay, seeing none. Next up, we are looking to convene in closed session. So can I have a motion to convene in closed session to discuss employment of employees, 5 ILCS 120-2C1, and the selection of a person to fill a vacancy on the school board, 5 ILCS 120/C3.
Bullen, so moved.
Austin, second.
Deschmok,
Aye.
Fliegel,
Aye.
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. We'll move into executive session.